Hey guys, welcome to another video. So I was looking through a bunch of my footage and I was like, what do I do with all these like pretty much auto loss games against these really difficult to play against comps? And I think it's important to mention for Warrior Holy Paladin in TBC that you really have to make a conscious effort not to get tilted. And not only that, but to just not get angry or frustrated with your partner. I mean, if your partner is making like consistent mistakes over and over again, okay, maybe there's something you guys need to talk about. But overall, with HPAL Warrior, there are going to be games that you just inevitably lose. I think me and Cap do a good job of giving each other grace, right, in these situations, especially when we're playing like back-to-back frustrating comps like Mage Priest. And so, if you find yourself getting frustrated, I just wanted to kind of pass on a note that there are several comps that are almost like unbeatable as Warrior Paladin. Mage Priest being probably the most egregious of cases. So when you come into these games, like I don't want you to have a defeated mentality, but you should definitely just have the mentality of, hey, we're gonna try our best and see if we can catch these guys off guard by playing our best. But if you inevitably lose in one of these really tough matches, you shouldn't take it to heart as like you're making huge mistakes or your partner is making huge mistakes. And over the course of your grind throughout the season, you're going to have those bad days where it's like you hit a lot of bad comps, maybe you're not playing your best. We found ourselves down probably as much as 200 rating at a time after hitting our peak. At one point this season, we had hit like, I don't know, 23, 2330, 2360, something around that range. And we found ourselves the next day, we dropped like 200 rating. We were just really getting our asses kicked, right? So what you really have to do is focus on those games that you can win, right? Increase your win percentage on those games against comps that are in your favor, right? Win those Rogue Priest games, win those Rogue Mage games, get very consistent about winning against comps that are viable and you see often. So if I really had to attribute something to our success this season, it's been just that. When we walk into a game against Rogue Priest, we take it very seriously, even though we have a really high win rate against that comp. We just make sure we try to do everything right so we don't lose a game that we should win. In addition to that, neither myself nor Cap really get angry about anything, and we don't criticize each other in an angry tone. So what we do is we talk very constructively at the end of each game and talk about what we could have done differently to win. So if you're a person that always gets offended, like when someone tells you, hey, I think if you would have done this, we would have done better, then that's probably something you should really look to change about your own attitude and your own way that you approach the game. If you're watching these videos, you obviously aspire to get better and do better, and often taking that criticism from your partner and trying to put yourself in their shoes in the match can help you have a better perspective on, yeah, I should have done that, or yeah, you're right, if I didn't blow the cooldown so early, we could have won that game. Alternatively to that, if you're providing the criticism, right, do it in a way that is lighthearted, right? We often joke quite a bit when we talk about the mistakes that we've made. And when we do voice our frustrations, it's often in the context of game balance or something of that nature, rather than aim towards each other. But I think if you can just keep that constructive mindset and how you discuss the game, and that you just really make it about your climb and your journey to do better, it'll go a long way in improving your gameplay. You've probably heard a lot of streamers talk about like getting TBC'd or the RNG that is in 2v2, and they're absolutely right. There is a ton of RNG in 2v2, especially when you have things like mace stuns from warriors, etc. And so if you're going to play twos, that's just something that you really have to accept about the game. You are going to purely lose some games based on RNG, right? You're going to get mace stunned back to back at a really bad time, or make that desperate attempt to trinket a mace stun in a really niche situation, and then immediately get mace stunned again. And this really goes both ways. It's easier to notice when those situations happen to you in a negative way on the receiving end, but you also benefit from these, like the mace stun RNG as well. Yeah, and to that effect, like when someone DCs or whatever, like if you want to wait on them to rejoin the game, that's typically what's done at really high MMR. But if we're climbing at lower levels or lower elo, just take the win, right? Because it's gonna happen to you occasionally too, and they're just gonna take the win. So, not to encourage like bad sportsmanship or whatever, but it's just like the RNG is what it is. You take the ones that you get, you lose the ones that you don't get. So, at the end of the day, we continue to play 2v2 because we have fun, right? And we know we're not like lad status yet or necessarily have a clear direct path there, but we continue to play even with that in mind, right? Like at some point it was pretty obvious to us that we weren't going to have what it takes to hit Glad this season, but we were okay with that because we've done so much better than the first season, and we've just seen continued improvement and growth throughout season 2. And we've really played just like so many games, like thousands of games. And I think just, the more you can practice, the more you can spam games, the better you're going to do. Like you have to put in the time unless you're just like some arena savant or maybe you're really high rated in retail or something like that. But nothing like, not all, you can have all the heart in the world, but that just like does not replace experience. So, like, if you and your partner are thinking, yeah, like, we're going to go from, like, unrated to Glad in one season and you don't have a lot of arena experience, I would really discourage that mentality because it's just going to leave you, like, I don't know, feeling disappointed in the end. We came into this in season 1 knowing that we were no good, right? And that there would be a lot to learn, and we still have a lot to learn. But we've absolutely had a blast doing it because we did not have this expectation for ourselves that we would be glad right away. In fact, we were absolutely surprised that we even hit duelist right in season 1. So it's absolutely a marathon, not a race. When TBC first came out, I think we all had these like grandiose visions that there would be all of these like TBC arena tournaments and this and that. And it's really not turned out that way, right? And I think for good reasons, right? I mean, PvP over the years has changed to what it is today in retail for a number of reasons. I'm not a huge fan of class homogenization, but TBC can tend to make you sort of a fan of that, right? Because every game it just seems like there's this monumental mechanic that you have to overcome or something, depending on the comp. But overall, despite its shortcomings, I think classes being different and every match having its uniqueness depending upon the comp. It's fun in its own right, Maybe it's a little unfair, maybe it's a little unbalanced, but every match kind of has this uniqueness or spiciness to it that you're like gotta do something crazy to pull off a win against this comp, right? So all that being said, I think going into season 3, we're gonna start to have a lot more tools at our disposal as far as gear and other things go. That'll bridge the gap perhaps between us and other classes. Other classes will have access to some of those tools as well, such as some of the new haste gear that's coming out in PvE. And then when Sunwell Plateau comes out, I think we will be even stronger with some sort of combination of ornamented PvP gear mixed with T6 and some different haste pieces. So it's a lot to look forward to in the future. For PvP, and then especially in Wrath, right? I mean, once we get Beacon and some of these other tools in Wrath, we're going to be absolute monsters. So If you're planning on playing Wrath, you got a lot to look forward to with Holy Paladin PvP. And I hope to see you guys in that expansion as well. I've held out this long through Classic, so excited to play Wrath and kind of make it through that whole Classic series. So hope you guys like this video, and I'll catch you later.